my producer who plays everything, Michael Whedon, who produced people like Michael Jackson, Madonna, and Whitney Houston, go on and on and on. He was very instrumental in doing this project with me.
Hi Mara, thanks for joining us here today on Know Me Now Interviews. It's great to have you here.
Oh, thanks for having me, Chloe.
Fantastic. And it's very interesting right now. So you're over in New York and we've got a bit of a time difference. So it's about 10 o'clock at night here, whereas it's just morning for you. So it's interesting seeing the time differences.
I know, it's a lot. Yeah, it's what is it, 8 o'clock in the morning here, Saturday?
Mm-hmm.
I always get up early, so it doesn't matter.
Right. Well, before we get started, do you mind just sharing a little bit about who you are and what you do, just for people listening today?
Yeah, well, I mean, like every other artist, I have a day job, yeah?
Mm-hmm.
Very, very, very far and away from everything that I do as a creative.
Mm-hmm.
But as a creative, I'm a singer-songwriter.
Mm-hmm.
I've managed to get one CD out. I've collaborated with a lot of people, sung with Stevie Wonder, sung in a lot of New York City jazz clubs. I've been an actress. I've toured Spain, Japan, and I did a small tour in the United States. That being said, then when things started shifting, things started shifting. I started doing a lot of commercials,
Right.
national commercials, and then voiceovers. And then all of a sudden, everything changed. The whole business changed. So I'm basically redesigning myself right now. And it's interesting that it's during this pandemic that's going around, because it's given me more time to, refocus as an artist, because as an artist, you may start out as this, but then you are, you morph, you grow into other things that bring you joy, right? So that's why I've basically been based out of New York City, but I've traveled all over the world, and I hope once this is over that I could start doing more musical festivals, which is really my joy, which is singing. I do a lot of jazz. I do all kinds of music, really, but jazz is my love, musical theater, and that type of thing.
Fantastic. Well, I'm looking forward to getting into more of that with you. But before we get into that, would you mind just going through a hot seat round with me? So just asking a few short, quick questions, giving 10-second answers, just so the people watching today can, I guess, learn a little bit more about who you are.
Sure.
Cool. Okay, well, the first one that I have is, how many languages do you speak?
I speak English, Spanish, French not so well, and I understand a lot of the Italian, the Romance languages. So kind of like, I would say 3.
I envy you. I wish I could speak more than my own language, English. I've tried learning a bit of Spanish and Italian before, but I haven't gone too well at it.
It's just a matter of practice.
Well, if I'm ever in New York, I'll hit you up and we can have some conversations.
Well, if you're in New York, you have to hit me up anyway, so come on.
Okay, next question. What is one of the most interesting foods you have tasted?
Well, I mean, I love Indian food. It's something called motor paneer, which is like this vegan cheese thing based in peas. It's just so yummy.
If you weren't a musician, so if you're in another life and you weren't a musician, what would you see yourself as?
Oh, I'd be a doctor. For sure. I started out when I was in college. I was at the prompting of family, of course, the pressure. You have to be a doctor. You have to be a doctor. So I was in a pre-med program, OBGYN, and had the honor of actually assisting in 3 deliveries. So isn't that odd? What a life I've had. I probably would have been at the front line right now, with the COVID thing. So I love science. I love science and health, and I just love seeing people healthy.
My last question for you in this hot seat round is, if you had to choose a drink, you had to choose a base meal, so we'll make it rice. So you had to choose a drink, you had to have rice, one of your favorite Indian curries, and then a dessert. What would be your favorite meal with all those combinations?
It would be a flourless chocolate cake. For sure. Chocolate over everything. I actually have craving chocolate. Chocolate cake for sure.
Okay. And what about the drink with that?
Oh, the drink. Oh, what a combo. A glass of champagne. Did you say Indian food?
Oh, just a curry. So it can be an Indian curry. It can be a curry from another.
I would take a, what kind of curry do I like that they make? Well, actually, motor paneer is a curry. So I
Yeah.
take motor paneer. Boy, what a combination. Champagne, chocolate cake. Is there anything left in that?
No, that's it. Have you ever tried champagne with that meal before? Now that we've had a bit of fun in our hot seat round, we'll move back into some of the questions to do with your music. And so you talked about how you've done a whole heap of different things and you've been morphing as a musician. But can you tell us about how you got into music in the first place? So what was your first starting point?
Yeah. Well, as a child, I was always very musical. I loved music. I loved the piano.
Mm-hmm.
Um, I have to say, I came from a very poor family, so
Mm-hmm.
we didn't have instruments and stuff. So I would start singing. That just
Right.
evolved as a result of that. And my next door neighbor had a piano that she would let me play every now and then. I
Mm-hmm.
mean, if I had a piano all my life, I'd probably be a virtuoso right now, but I'm not.
Uh-huh.
I'm the kind of pianist that can play some chords, write a song, but my objective wasn't to become a concert pianist. But anyway, as that started going, I was always in plays as a child, and then in high school, it was just like all of a sudden, I just started singing and producing shows in high school, and
Mm-hmm.
um, I mean, my family really didn't encourage that, but when you've got that muse inside of you, there isn't anything that can kill it. In fact, I would say music has saved me in
Mm-hmm.
many instances in my life because it's just one of my passions. It fills me up, and I wish everybody had a passion.
You also talked about how you're a singer-songwriter. So have some of the songs that you've written come from those places where you've just had to get something out?
Yeah, oh, for sure. Like the CD that I did, unbeknownst to me, which I could send you a copy.
Mm-hmm.
So it's Spanish and maybe two songs in English. Um, had to do with past relationships, which I wasn't even
Mm-hmm.
aware of as I was writing, because the way I write songs is very unorthodox. Like I'll be on the bus and hear like
Mm-hmm.
a whole string of lyrics, and I'll scratch them down on a piece of paper, and then I'll hear the whole musical component from beginning to end. That's the way I get these songs. And then of course,
Right.
I try to record it real quick on the phone. Um, but these songs have had to do with situations in my life. Of late, I just get inspired by whatever the feeling is. Sometimes you're egged on by either depression or
Mm-hmm.
something that happened in the world, or silly songs that have to do with nothing.
Mm.
But in order for a song to be relevant, it's got to be about something. Yeah. So I think that a lot of songwriting has to do with the raw stuff that's happening in your life.
That's really inspiring. Thank you. And I guess there's been moments as well when I've just had something stuck in my head and I've just had to like get it in my phone before I forget it. So I've had some of those experiences as well.
Yeah.
The rest of the song might not come for another few months later, but at least I've got that first starting point as well.
Yeah, and I think that's really important because I mean you clearly have, you're an artist yourself, creating this. Anybody that creates is an artist. And the thing is,
Mm.
it doesn't matter when you get the inspiration, just write it down or record it. I always walk around with a little notebook, or I don't care what it is, a post-it, I'll write it down.
Uh-huh.
Like when I started writing my CD, I started collecting all these all these pieces of paper. And I'm
Mm-hmm.
like, okay, and I finally got some book at the 99-cent store. So I just think
Mm-hmm.
is if you feel the impulse,
Mm-hmm.
don't let it go. It's hitting you for a reason. It's hitting you because that's the next level of development. That's something that's inside of you that's wanting to, come out and be put in the world.
Now that the world has kind of flipped itself upside down, what do you reckon we can best do to utilize this time that we have?
Yeah.
Utilize.
That's a good question. That's a good question because I think a lot of times, as I'm learning for myself, I'm speaking about myself as well.
Mm.
We tend to run away from ourselves. We tend to want to fill up with busy time. So I think this time has hopefully, I know for myself, has made me connect more with the things that I've been avoiding about myself. I think this day job took over my life. The stress of it has sublimated my artistic bent, and I got very depressed. I'm not afraid to share that. For me, the isolation isn't the problem. I don't feel that this is isolation. I feel that it's given me the time to look into what's next, or what's gurgling, or what can I create. You got to be able to be with yourself. You know, I mean, you can still go for a walk. You go from 6 feet away, you can say hello to somebody. You know, you can, there's so many things you can still do to connect with people. I think the main thing bothering people is not really being with Joe Schmo down the block. It's having to deal with yourself, which is pretty interesting, isn't it?
Yeah, that is really interesting. I guess, yeah, it's so easy to get caught up in the busyness and not have to think about what's really going on inside of you.
Yeah, you know, and the thing is, if you just sit down and write about it, you'd be surprised the stuff that comes out. I started doing this, I joined into a playwriting class because I've got all these ideas that I haven't had time, and now I have the time, so I'm learning how to write a play.
Yeah.
And they were sending some prompts, you know, questions to answer. And I was shocked at the stuff that I was writing. And I thought to myself, I didn't know I was feeling that bad about that, or I didn't know that was in there, right? So, I mean, that could be material for a song. That could be material for learning about myself and growing, about why maybe I'm not connecting with people the way I should. So that's what I've been thinking about. And I think that's what's hitting people really hard. I feel I'm learning a lot about myself as I'm talking to you. I'm like, wow, I really do feel that way. Wow, nobody's ever asked me that before. You know, these are very important questions you're asking.
Yeah. Well, I'm glad you're enjoying it. And I really appreciate all your answers and honesty. It's been really good.
Yeah.
So Mara, one question I have for you is, what sort of impact has your family had on your music as you were growing up?
Well, I would say, I mean, my mother was always singing around the house. You know, she always wanted to be an artist, and there was always music playing in the house. And I have to say that it was, jazz, salsa music, Latin jazz, Latin musics, as it were. So, I've always had that whole rhythmic thing in the back of my head, very influential percussive music. So that definitely had an impact on the music that I love, the music that I'm drawn to. Some of the songs that I did have, have percussion. Obviously, they get influenced. But being exposed to these great Latin artists and jazz artists, you can't help but say, wow, that's pretty amazing. And you don't try to emulate, but it certainly has seeped into what I hear rhythmically as a musician. It had a great impact on me. I mean, I can't imagine not having heard all that music.
Right.
Yeah.
And what about now then, as you are in your house, maybe doing some emails or anything like that? Do you find yourself going back to some of the music you listened to as a kid, like just putting on some Spanish music, or as you're doing the
No, you know what? I'm drawn to, what's really interesting is that I love a lot of the indie artists that are out now. I mean, what they're writing is so, heavy and moody and, electronic for sure, right? Because that's where we're at right now. But I find that a lot of new artists are just writing some stuff that's so profound, But then again, I like pop music, definitely. Ariana Grande, Gwen Stefani, I mean, I love, they have such beautiful voices, and they're entertainers, they perform. So yeah, but when I'm around the house, I'm listening to jazz, or I'm listening, believe it or not, to classical music sometimes when I want to decompress. When you study how these people wrote, they were the pop kings of their time,
Yeah.
And the fact that someone would take a carriage for 30 hours to go talk to Haydn or one of these composers, you got to look at that and go, man, that was something else, Yeah, I like a lot of indie. Ed Sheeran. I love Ed Sheeran. He's such a good writer. And so simple, so simple. The stuff that we're hearing that he's put out has been produced. But if you hear the original versions of his songs, they're all just guitar.
Right.
Which has now led me back to be stripped down.
Mm-hmm.
I want to do just piano. I want to just hear a guitar so that people can listen to the lyrics.
Do you mind walking us through one of your songs that you've written and then tell us a little bit about the lyrics and what they mean?
Oh yeah. The song is really sparse. I mean, it's like it's written the key of C. It's just, you know, going up the keyboard and back down the keyboard. There might be 3 chord changes in it, but the song was written because one of my mentors passed away very abruptly, and it devastated. It was just how could this be? You know, I couldn't accept it. You know, I was incredulous. Like you know, when someone passes away like that, where you know, when somebody comes to you and says, "Hey, Chloe, so and so," then you're like, "No," you know. Oh, it hit me, but the pain of that was so profound that I had to write it out. You know, and it starts out, and I'm standing by an open door when I heard about the news. You know, and I can't recall the rest of the lyrics right now, but it's all about, it's almost like this gust of wind hits you when someone's gone, and you're one of the lines in is, you know, and I'm waiting for you, you know, to turn around the bend. You know, I'm hoping you're going to show up, you know, because I think it's very hard as humans to accept death. Especially if someone that's been like your mentor, the person that's been like, yeah, you're going to make this music, and yeah, you're going to get going. And when you lose that, it's almost like you lose a part of yourself. And so the song is Everybody Needs a Hero. That's the name of the song, Hero it's called, but everybody needs a hero. And when you think about that, you do need someone to inspire you. You do need someone to push you along. And then the thing is to be ready to be without that hero. You know? And that's when you have to be really strong. And I think that's where the strength of that song comes in. It's, you know, and ironically, my friend who played the piano on that song passed away as well.
Right.
So now it's even more poignant. But it's a really good song. It's a really solid song. And it's one of my favorite on the CD. But you know, again, you know, it's like anything. There will be a life event. You could be a writer of many sorts. A life event will trigger you to write a series of songs, or you can see something that's happening and it's like, wow, that's a great idea. Let me get that. Because a lot of times you'll hear like what we call in the music industry a hook, which is the line that keeps on repeating and repeating, and that'll make you write a verse, or you write a verse and then you got to come up with the hook. So you know, there's no, even though people do songwriting classes, and I get it, I'd like to take one. I've never taken. But you know, there's a technique to songwriting, yes, for sure. I don't have a formula I use. I'll hear an idea and then I'll go sit. My writing always stems from writing down something that happened, something that I heard. That'll start me writing, and then I come back and try to come up with a melody. Sometimes at 3 o'clock in the morning, I'll hear a melody and I'll get up like you and record it just so I don't forget it. You know, and come to it. But yeah, that's basically it. That song is really, important to me, you know, because it's about someone that I didn't get a chance to say goodbye to. And, you know, if you have any spiritual background, you hope you'll see them again on that other side.
Going off that, so I'm sure that many people watching this have had song ideas before, or have wanted to write a song, but just haven't known where to start. I mean, you've talked about not really having a formula, but do you have just some advice you could give them to start?
Yeah. I mean, you know, I think nowadays there's such, you know, I tried playing with these programs that they sell. I just couldn't figure it out. It was just too complicated. But I think if you can learn one of these little programs that are either on an iPod, even the phone has it. I know I'm not an Apple person, but I'll just say there are some music programs that you could come up with a beat, right? Program a beat, and then just, you know, if your thing is rap, you know, rap to that, you know, and, you know, don't judge yourself, just do it. You know, don't start, because that's the problem. You know, you get an idea and then you put it down and you're like, oh, that sucks. Well, no, it's the beginning of it, right? So that's one way. Pick an instrument that calls you. Here's a formula. Pick an instrument that you feel comfortable with, that really vibrates with what you are as a human and as the song. And then start writing a lyric or write a beat. If you have an idea, just put it on the recorder, you know, just put it down and or write it out and then come back to it and go, yeah, you know, what would be interesting to write? Or better yet, you know, here's the other thing. Sometimes you could have all these lyrics, work with somebody. You know, reach out to somebody that plays the guitar. I definitely reached out to somebody. I got to send them a track today when I get off the phone. This is a way of widening your circle, also growing as a musician. One thing I will say, that if you do have a song, make sure you copyright it before you share it. Okay. Because a lot of things happen where all of a sudden you'll hear your song on the radio. And there you go. I was on a project that I had no idea was a final project, and it turned out to be a hit record in Spain, and I made $0.
Right.
So main thing is, if you want to write songs, write your songs, but make sure, you know, you can put them all on one, you know, grouping and send them off to the copyright office for $35, I think it is, you know, and make sure you're protected that way. Or send the artist you're working with a non-disclosure form. It's called an NDA. You can download it for free, a non-disclosure agreement, which means that person will not use your material.
Right.
Or you know, or say they wrote it. You got to be a little savvy. And it's almost like you got to learn about the business, and you got to learn about the business. That I will say. You must learn about the business. A lot of times we go out there, you know, yeah, let's make some music, and then you write a hit song and somebody steals it. You have to be savvy. There's enough information out there that you don't have to be uneducated about your business, because if this becomes your business, you better know it better than anybody else. And I learned through hard knocks. I learned by losing money. I got ripped off in studios. I mean, we could do a whole seminar on that. The business, you know, how I learned, and, you know, the hard way, that I don't want anybody to go through that, but, you know, that's what teaches you. But, you know, reach out to other musicians, you know, say, if you know a guitar player, say, hey man, I got some lyrics. You want to write a melody? And that's the magic, you know, that's these days you can do it over the internet. It doesn't, you know, require you to be in a studio. You know, when things open up again, clearly, if you want to go into a studio, that's a whole nother thing. But yeah, collaborate with other people for sure.
Thank you so much for your time today with us today, Mara.
Oh, it's been an honor. And, you know, I want to end by saying that I encourage everybody to keep going, whether people say no, whether people don't like your stuff, do it for you, because that's what's going to bring out the real music. And, you know, if you want to reach out to me, I'm on the web. You know, reach out, marasanchezmusic.com. I'm on WhatsApp, so hit me up. You know, I'm always available to collaborate. I'm always available to give advice to people that want it, and it's you know, paying it forward, because I've been helped out a lot. So it's been a thrill and an honor, and thank you so much for picking me to talk to you and everybody out there.
Very welcome. Yeah, well, we can thank Zach Bradford for connecting me with you. So I guess it's just showing how important networking is in the music industry as well, and how much it really does help. So yeah, I really enjoyed chatting with you today, Mara, and I'm sure that many people have gotten a lot out of what you're saying. And for those watching today, we'll have in the comments below, we'll have her website, and we'll have different things like that. So you can go and check out some of her music and what she has done.
All right. Have a good day, everybody.
See ya.